The hostility is not neutral and it is not a misunderstanding. The solar principle, light, discrimination, form, logos, the capacity to separate what is true from what is merely felt, is experienced as an attack by any field that has organized itself around immersion, unaccountable emotion, and the refusal of structure. When the feminine current is running in its unintegrated or culturally amplified wounded form, that light does not feel like clarification. It feels like exposure. Exposure of the withholding, the projection, the preference for atmosphere over accountability, the continuous ranking, and subtle extraction. More than that, it threatens to expose the self-judgments they refuse to face. The light reveals the gap between the image they present and the actual state of the circuit they are running. That exposure is intolerable, so the defense is hatred of the light itself. This is why clear speech, logical distinction, and the simple naming of patterns are immediately framed as, quote, oppressive patriarchy, unquote. The framing is not an argument, it is a defense mechanism. Words that carry discrimination threaten the closed circuit of pure emotionality and shared grievance. Pure emotionality without thought is not depth, it is darkness. It is unconsciousness. In a real sense, it is spiritual death, the refusal of the light that would make the emotion conscious and accountable. If intelligent communication is allowed to stand, the unexamined material has to be examined. Most will not permit it. So the language itself is pathologized. Logic becomes violence. Precision becomes domination. The one who still uses them becomes the problem. People who remain inside that field prefer others who remain there with them. Shared darkness feels like belonging. Shared anxiety, shared low-grade hatred, shared narcissistic ranking, shared refusal of accountability. These maintain the circuit. Someone who lies in the same currency, who feeds the same emotional weather, who never interrupts the immersion is safe. Someone who does not is not. The preference is active. You see it in the constant posting of morbid, sick, and degraded content, the aesthetic of darkness treated as depth. It is not neutral self-expression. It is the visible preference for the state that does not require the light. This is the lunar field of the matrix. Matter, materialistic body consciousness, immersion in emotion and sensation, cut off from the light of spiritual awareness. Many now treat identification with the body and with raw emotion as the height of spirituality. It is, in truth, the opposite polarity. Real spiritual awareness requires the solar principle that can stand in relationship to the body and the emotions without drowning in them. What is being practiced instead is regression into the unexamined lunar field, and it is producing widespread mental illness and spiritual sickness. The dark emotions and the repressed, sick thoughts do not stay private. They contaminate the aura, thickening it into a dense, convoluted, and unhealthy field that surrounds and saturates the soul. The symptoms are everywhere. Emotional flooding without accountability, identity fused with wound, hostility to any clarifying presence, and the steady aestheticization of the dark and the broken. This is not rare. It is common enough to shape the culture. The pure receptive principle can hold the light without being destroyed by it. That is the whole point of the inner marriage and of any real outer conjunction. What is dominant instead is the corrupted, regressed, and culturally reinforced version that has inverted its own function. Instead of receiving and generating, it withholds, ranks, draws others into power-imbalanced circles, and experiences any genuine solar presence as a threat to be neutralized by ignoring, by subtle contempt, by accusations of hatred, or by the open preference for the morbid and the unaccountable. That inversion actively opposes clarity, reciprocity, and completed circuits. It is not a wound seeking healing. It is a pattern defending itself against healing. Clear seeing is not hatred. The sadness and disappointment that arise from sustained contact with this field are the accurate response. The refusal to return the same darkness is what keeps the circuit clean. The light does not require permission from the field that rejects it. Their continued choice for immersion and unaccountability does not make that choice less real, and it does not make the light any less necessary.